The spring sitting of the legislature begins tomorrow, and yet instead of a throne speech, Premier Christy Clark took to the airwaves in Vancouver to outline her political agenda. In her 90-minute appearance on CKNW Radio, Clark focused on job creation, justice reform, and emphasized once again that teachers and other public sector workers will not be getting a raise. The only new element in her agenda was a new promised focus on the needs of seniors.
We are going to invest $165 million in BC schools to hire more teaching assistants so that kids get more attention in the classroom. We will reduce court backlogs. We are putting the interests of children first in divorce proceedings and moving more families from costly legal fights to mediation. We will protect our tough drunk driving laws, balancing strict penalties with due process. We will introduce comprehensive anti-bullying strategies for our schools. We will implement a seniors agenda that will improve support and services for the fastest growing part of our population. And we'll continue to help get families ahead by connecting people to jobs. We are not able to provide pay increases unless we can find savings within government to pay for them. I am just not interested in raising taxes to pay for public sector wage increases. On education, our priority is to focus the resources that we have on students in classrooms, not on the 15% wage hike the teachers union is asking for.
The Premier says she was being criticized by you and others today for not offering many new things today. What do you think the priorities should be for British Columbia?
Well, I think there's a real gap between the skills young people have today and the skills they need for the jobs of the future. The Premier put forward what she called was a jobs plan last year that really didn't address this issue in any serious way. So we're going to be focusing on it in this session of the legislature. A lot of what the Premier said today on radio was to deny responsibility for the things that the Liberal Party has done in office and to claim responsibility for things they hadn't done. It was an odd venue and an odd performance for that, but that's what she decided to do. We're going to keep doing what we're doing, though, which is to stay positive, to put forward suggestions, especially to focus on young people getting the skills that they need in this session of the legislature. We're not going to be running negative personal attack ads like the Premier, and people can compare our approach to hers.
Now, British Columbians are growing frustrated by the teachers' strike. She says the teachers and others will not be getting any more money. What would you propose? How would you propose to resolve this situation?
Well, you need to negotiate. You know, 9 years ago, the government brought in bills 27 and 28, bills that have now been found to be illegal in the courts. The $165 million the Premier was talking about, that was part of a forced settlement offer that the government made. They're now bragging about it, spending taxpayers' money on TV ads. So I think we need less public posturing from the government and more negotiating, and that's where these things will be resolved. And I think it's also setting an example. I mean, the Premier is spending millions of dollars on ads promoting her jobs agenda right now, in the millions. And I think most people don't think that's the priority. If you're going to lead, you have to lead in your office too.
But negotiations have never really worked with the teachers union. You had to legislate them back as New Democrats. The Liberals have had to do so. Is that inevitable? Do you think the teachers are simply going to have a legislated agreement within the next couple of weeks?
Well, the only agreement I was involved in government was a negotiated agreement, and the salary increases were 0, 0, and 2. And teachers in that negotiation decided to improve classroom conditions for students. The problem, what happened in 2002, was they stripped the contract on working conditions. In other words, they said teachers can't negotiate to improve classroom conditions for students. They can only negotiate essentially wages. And so this has poisoned the negotiation for 10 years. Look, there's no alternative to hard work, Jim. You got to sit down, you got to work together, and you got to resolve these things. Young people need public education now more than ever before, and this is not the time for people to be fighting. It's the time for people to be working together to make the education system better.
Mr. Dix, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Hey, welcome to Czech.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Adrian Dix live at the legislature tonight.